in her flat belly, rock, stone in her heart. So, thank you. So, I'm going to read this poem that is kind of newish. It's like not minutes. And then I'm going to do one more, like, and then we're going to call it George. So I call it George. It's like, no need to pay attention to what the name is. It's like, just a black man on a train, call it George, and that's it. So funny! Okay, so this business of like becoming a mother, I've never been biologically linked to like a group of people I live with who weren't like beating me or like, trying to sexually molest me or rape me or any of those things. So you can imagine that, in my adulthood, after like thousands of dollars of therapy, that I would think, it'd be nice to have a family that wasn't dysfunctional and fucked up, you know what I mean? It's like my aim in life to kind of achieve that. But you never quite know how you get over these things, I thought in my 20s that I was done. Went to therapy, I found joy, I moved lymph-like through the world, you know what I mean? Like, I was footloose and fancy-free, shit was sexy, I was like, yeah, I like my boobs, I like my pussy, everything's great. And then, the 30s came, and then it's like a new round of like dealing with the shit that happened to you as a kid. And I talk to women in their 40s, and they're like, yeah, there's another layer, it happens at 40. Women at 50 like, yeah, it's gonna come back at 50. And you're gonna get smarter and smarter. But don't believe that these things have left you for life, and it's a struggle, and so this is about that struggle.
Wait till you're 70.
And this is also like the time when you're considering parenthood, one, and two, it's when you begin to be invisible on the street, because your boobs ain't that great, and people look at your face and they don't imagine that you're a virgin anymore and that your skin is as taut as it is. So now when I walk by construction sites, I don't get as many kind of shout-outs as the young women. And there's a way that all my life I abhorred those things, but because we're so fucked up in terms of how they socialize us, that now I walk by the construction site and nobody says anything. What the fuck is wrong with these people? So this shit is complex, you know what I mean? So, this one's called With Nothing to Speak Out Loud. My pen hangs hesitant, the turgid promise of ink unsure. What does one do when the events, episodes, anecdotes of a life swirl indecipherable in pools of sins you never forgave your mother for? Every time I think I have recovered from some old wound, another season returns, knife-like, and the gash reopens as if it happened yesterday. The leaving, the aching, the bruised elbow of my childhood, my most earnest self looking for love. I gave you more than the exchange was worth. Now, mother, every lover looks like you. Every argument is with your unbendable silence, your cruel noise. 2. Up until I was 11 years old, I was still hoping for some strange white Canadian couple with a farm to come adopt me. Anne of Green Gables, I waited. Watch the hours slip desperate towards years, working hard to keep my best self reserved for their arrival. I studied the ways of good behavior, stored them for later. I gave my warrior self over to the task of surviving. I waited and waited and hoped. But somewhere underneath that hope, I knew no one was coming to get some hard-backed 13-year-old who couldn't hold her tongue. So I turned instead to the art of being well in the absence of rescue. And I practiced looking wholesome. Wholesome. That was the word that stuck to my adolescent arms, held at an angle that evoked envy. I worked hard at looking well. The faces I met knew little of my after-school terrors, the horrors that shadowed my days. 20 years later, the hardest thing is to say, help. I'm drowning. Somebody help. I don't know how to swim. Come reach for my hand. Lover, friend, sister. No matter the depths of my waters, I never reach for anyone. Mostly I suffer in silence. In my real life I sink, hope my lungs survive it. And to discourage predators looking for a quiet victim,